So let's go back to the repetition and why that works. So what's interesting about that to me is, and how it has always been, is the auditory and visual memory components. And those auditory and visual memory components are a critical part of creating that whole brain processing. And when we talk about the uniqueness of this, it's the serve and return process of the lessons. And it's the ability to hear your own voice repeating back the words, and in the different voices, and in the different levels, and the different puppet voices are a critical part of that, and part of that process, right? So it's and that's why it's not just watching something. It's the participation and the hearing, the auditory processing of your own voice.
Well, that's a critical point, Christina. Interestingly, the puppet rotating chunking is based on an art musical execution system. Well, the puppet's vocal chunking system created a rhythmic feeling for the participant. A relaxed, energetic mood is thereby created by the speaking faces. Now learners of all various age groups begin with tight mental focus, with timed visual sound patterning, receiving enthusiastic, immediate accolades for many participants. I knew I needed solid, concrete data to reveal ongoing brain changes, as everyone has their own individual cognitive map and has strengths and weaknesses. Well, as we all know, concrete data outcomes will always speak louder than casual assumptions. Subsequently, I set up test sites as they were readily accessible and in demand.
So one of the things that's impressive about what you did is that you have these 5 generations of studies. You did longitudinal testing, which many companies and programs do not have in their portfolio. Talk about how you did those 5 generations of studies, the longitudinal testing, and how they maintained their gains. That's the term that I understand. They maintained gains for multiple years, whereby you were able to show that they did not regress after the program.
Well, the reason other groups do not have 5 generations of performance testing is because I was really lucky. The test sites were parochial schools, where the classes stayed in that school and moved from grade to grade intact. And we had achievement testing that was being correlated with the cognitive skills tests. So their achievement tests were hardcore as they went along and graduated. We had absolute data how the schools and each grade performed continuously. As for the other various groups, I was fortunate with them also, because I petitioned the groups that I had worked with to return for subsequent tests. The data was compared to earlier testing they'd had before. I was privileged that they came back voluntarily because they also wanted to see if their test scores had changed. The other interesting aspect is that I did not charge for any of this because it was all research.
So you had this amazing research. How did you tie in the outcomes of the research into actual lessons?
Regarding the lessons, they need to be designed consistently through task analysis to interface with underlying spoken phonological articulation requirements that range from musical legato to staccato that applied directly to the puppets. Thereby, we activate the right brain and the left brain in synergy. I applied words, letters, and multiple recitations that interfaced with encoding-decoding game lessons. Subsequently, it has taken over 40 years to complete this data compilation.
Well, this was really valuable information and so enjoyable hearing you recount so many years of dedication to developing the Bridge to Achievement. It's something I've known for years as having changed lives and the lives of young adults into adults and families. And I just want to thank you for all the amazing work and dedication and persistence you've put to making all of this possible.
Well, thank you, Christina. It has been a labor of love, and I particularly want to thank my sound and visual engineer, Scott Walker, for going through this entire process of making it happen.
Wonderful. Thank you.